Hello, everybody. Great. I see a lot of you folks have joined in. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everyone is having a great beginning to the holiday season. And I am thrilled to welcome you all to this webinar, which is the first in a series of webinars that we are going to conduct around content marketing and with the advent of generative AI, how the content marketing landscape is changing. We have an exciting 30 minutes planned for you today. We will discuss the importance of getting the right content ideas and how you can use AI to create content that your audience is really interested in. My name is Abhinav. I head artificial intelligence at Yarnit. Yarnit is a generative AI powered content marketing platform where you can create all your marketing content from emails to blogs to social media posts. And also today we have Jyotirmoy, JD, who is the big boss, the CEO of Yarnit. He has spent all his life in sales, marketing, and he will talk to you about how really AI can help you generate these good ideas that can really make your content shine. Uh, he will also take you through Yarnit's idea generator and how you can start using it. Hello, JD.
Yep. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Abhinav, and good morning,
Just
good evening, folks.
one point before we begin.
Sure.
I wanted to encourage all of you to ask questions using the Q&A feature that we have, that's available to you. One of us from the team will respond, and also we will take some of those questions in the second half of the webinar, and JD can, answer all your queries. And so then, without further ado, JD, please take it away and educate us on how this all started, and what is the inspiration behind creating an application like Idea Generator.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. And folks, once again, good morning, good evening for joining. Thanks for joining us. Right. And we can really get started about Idea Generator and the fancy thing that we have built. But we wanted to take a step back and really talk about what actually inspired us to build it. Right. So I'm going to sort of do two things. One, take you through a quick presentation just to set the context of the background. How do we see marketers using Idea Generator today? And the second part of the webinar would be to actually show things in action, as in how do you sort of generate relevant ideas specific to your audience, specific to your brand, right? I'm going to share my screen. Do you see my screen now, folks? Abhinav, quickly, do you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see the slides.
All right, fantastic. Like the theme is, right? As in from blank page to wow. And that's the promise that the idea generator, Yarnit's idea generator has. But like I was saying, right, as in what's the inspiration here? Where did it all start? And literally, the whole idea or the purpose behind creating a feature like Idea Generator in Yarnit is how do we help brands own moments and own moments with content. Now, those are heavy words, right? So I'm going to sort of simplify things for all of us. If you look at what are the moments that a marketer goes through today, as a brand, what are the moments that you encounter, right? Now, if you break the moments, and some of you may be familiar with moment marketing as a concept, but there are largely three pillars in moment marketing. One, which is always on, things that we believe in, things our customers struggle with, topics, ideas that we want to evangelize as a brand. For example, for Yarnit, I think personalized content creation is something that we really believe in, and that is the category or a topic that we want to constantly propagate or evangelize and talk about more and more. So these are topics, themes that as a brand I need to constantly talk about because we believe in it. Our customers would help or benefit from it. Two, the things which are more topical. Now, the topical could be things which are not in your control. Now, these are current affairs, news, seasonal affairs, events that are happening, but that are not either controlled by you or the market. The last one is actually the moments that we create as a brand, right? What could be those things, right? As in, for example, a very good example, or the easiest example to take, this webinar is the moment that we created for Yarnit, right? And what is the kind of content that we should create, therefore, to promote this, created moment, right? So it could be your brand events, it could be campaigns that typically get into created moments. Now, if you look at a marketer's journey and what kind of inspirations that they drive or the kind of inspirations they draw from, if you look at always on, things like domain would be in perspective, things like keywords, things like topics. But when you go to topical, this could be a social events, this could be a holiday thing that is happening. A couple of weeks back it was Diwali, next is Christmas, Hanukkah, so on and so forth. And then there is news that is happening which is not in your control, but as a brand, how do you respond to events that are happening in your category, in your domain? And the last one, like I said, the created moments and the inspirations for them are largely your product launches, your service launches, the events. Maybe you're getting into an event, participating in an event, or it could be a sales campaign, right, which you are running. Could be a Black Friday campaign for that matter. Now, all of these collectively kind of form moments, and these are the related inspirations for it. Now, if you double click on it as a marketer, how do you own that moment? Right? And there is a lot of, it's almost like a proper framework, right? We need to do a lot of research to find out what exactly those topics are, what is that our customers want to hear from us, what is that we can evangelize, so on and so forth. And typically, if you see, there are a bunch of tools that marketers use today, brands use today. Plus, there's a lot of desk research, market research that folks would do to find out those relevant ideas, relevant themes on which they can create content. But the second step is almost like filtering it out, saying what can actually me as a brand talk about, what would relate to us. We cannot talk about something which is completely irrelevant to what we do. And the second, the themes that we shortlist, is that something that our customers would want to know about from us or get information or education from our side? Not really, right? And therefore, that filtering layer is very, very important for all of us to sort of find and refine those ideas. And the last thing, which is the most important part, is the reaction time. Of course, you may have great ideas of always on kind of topics, but do you have the capacity to create content every day? Because then, and that's how exactly you are going to sort of own that moment all through the year. Two, there is an event that happened, literally 10 minutes back. Do you have the information about that event? One. And two, do you have the capacity to respond to that event in the form of a content? Right? So these three things, literally the ability to do more comprehensive research, ability to filter it out by what is relevant for the brand, what is relevant for its customers, and the third, your ability to sort of react to that with the right content eventually forms the genesis of what we were building and what we have built, right? That's pretty much all the literature, all the background. Let me sort of take you to the product and show you how exactly it works. All right. Do you see the transition in my screen? I hope you.
Yes, JD, we can see your web browser with yarnit.live/create address.
All right, fantastic. All right. So, folks, I think, very hygiene things. How do you sort of access, idea generator from Yarnit? The first thing that you need to go to, of course, this is right at the top. You can start your journey from here. If you are missing it out, you can also click on the apps and start your journey from here itself, right? Where there are different apps that Yarnit has, and idea generator is one of them. Now, like I was talking about, right? When you get to an idea generator, the first thing that you see are basically the sources of inspirations. Now, what I see here, there are news that are coming my way. Now, there are news that is, as recent as an hour before, that's coming my way. And two, I can also find out news which is relevant to a particular domain that we as a brand associate with. Now, it could be technology, it could be sports, it could be, you know, any particular categories that you would see here. There are a bunch of categories that we follow, and it could be relevant for one or two categories would be relevant for your brand. Now, what do we do with this? Of course, as you see any of this different news, how do you sort of take this news and respond to that or create a content keeping your brand in mind. And you can literally start your journey by generating ads. But the second, let me talk through all the inspiration sources and what we do in that. The next set is basically your events. Now, this is where you are looking at different social events or the topical movements, as I was describing, and you can filter it out by different geographies where your customers are or your brand is today, right? So if your demographic of customer demographic is largely in US, or in India or any other part of the world, you can filter it out depending on these different geographies that we have, and you will see different kind of events that are coming your way in the next calendar year, right? Now, at this point, let's say, if I'm looking at Thanksgiving Day as the next event coming up, what, what kind of content Yarnit can generate? And let me start with an example quickly, and I'll cover the rest of the inspirations. Now, let's say, I'm on Thanksgiving Day, and at this point, I want to sort of create an Instagram carousel post, right? And what we have to be mindful about is that there is a brand that is selected. So every idea that the system is going to generate is to keep the two things in mind: your brand and the customer demographic that you've set while setting up your brand here. Now, let's see what are the examples that we're getting in here. So if you see this, it understands that Yarnit is a content creation platform. We talk a lot about, storytelling, stories, content creation. So the ideas that therefore that are not necessarily about wishing somebody on Thanksgiving, which is a great thing, but at the same time, it is also giving me ideas, keeping the brand in mind. If you see what it does, of course, it is giving you a title of what could be your Instagram carousel post, but at the same time, it is sort of giving you a content brief, which you can literally use that as a prompt. I can literally start my content creation journey right here and create a post, and probably will do one of them right now. It also sort of qualifies the post by you giving you the right kind of hashtags that you could use while you are creating that story, or while you're looking at that idea. The next source of inspiration is basically keywords. Right now, in this, you can of course use different kind of keywords. Say, for example, I'm going to talk about two keywords that are running on my mind: personalized content, one, and then conversions. Now, these are the two keywords that I've added. Now, what I'm looking for from Yarnit is that give me some blog ideas, which I can talk about keeping these two things in mind. Now, what do we do behind the scenes, right? As in, of course, you gave those two keywords. Now, this could be the SEO keywords that you have already identified. These are the keywords that you want to sort of evangelize uh, for your audience. But what we did behind the scenes is basically we went at in real time, we are hitting multiple search databases, the likes of Google, the likes of Bing, YouTube search, etc., to find out what exactly your customer demographic is looking at. What are the questions that they have? What are the keywords that they are interacting with? So there is a corpus of data that is getting added to Yarnit in real time, which gets fed into our generative AI engine, and therefore use whatever content that you see is coming out, which is qualified, double SEO qualified, let me call it out. And this is the description that it is talking about. Now, in many cases, you would see we go beyond the keywords to add more keywords to the content that you've added. And literally, you can start your journey again by creating a blog post right away. Now, if I like any of these, whatever I see, what I can also do is, of course, I can add that to my list. And this is my quick, almost like a playlist that I have, or a content list. I can keep on adding to that. You can also give us feedback to understand whether it resonated with you, it didn't resonate with you, and would it will only help us make our AI engines better, right? If you don't like a certain piece of idea, you just want to sort of get that out of your list, not interested is the button to click. The last one, it's the most interesting one. When we look at references, and the whole idea behind references is, how do I sort of encourage the system to look at a piece of text, a PDF document, maybe a white paper that maybe any other company or a journal or an analyst has published, and you want the system to learn from it and generate ideas based on it. At the same time, you can also refer to a blog post and say, hey, while somebody is looking at this, while I've created this, what could be the next best things that I could create as a brand? Very simple example of that. Let me sort of take you to one of our blogs that we have written ourselves, and you will see, just to sort of talk about this particular feature, we were talking a lot about, how do you sort of find ideas? How do you sort of, what are the different tools for content ideation? Now, let's say, if this is an article that we have just written, and we want to know what could be those follow-up articles, follow-up blogs that our customers would be interested to learn from. All I do is basically take that link and add in here. I can find, let's say, I want more blog ideas, or maybe uh, LinkedIn article ideas. I can look at different formats that are available. These are largely your social media and the long form content ideas on which you can generate ideas today. But let's say I choose blog for this moment. I can further personalize it to say, hey, what kind of ideas I'm looking for. So the add instructions is just to sort of give more instructions to the system while it is generating it. What would it do? It's basically looking at the content, what we have already generated. It is adding the layer of our demographics, so it goes back and does all the same steps to find out how did they interact, what are the other keywords that they were looking for, and then turn them into these ideas. So if you see this now, while we were talking about content ideas, right, these are new tricks or new topics that it is talking about, of how to sort of use different other avenues to generate content ideas. So these are all new ideas that has come our way, and the tags that we see are it's only added from that original piece of research that the system did behind the scenes. The last one is basically freestyle. Here you can add your brand event. The way we see our customers use it, it is literally, they would say, hey, we are, maybe let me try and show it to you. Yarnit is organizing a webinar to introduce Yarnit's ID trader. Suggest ideas for a blog post. Yeah. Now, this is the event. This is the event that I've created. And therefore, I'm asking the system now, give me more blog ideas just to sort of promote or evangelize the webinar further. And what the system would do, it will, of course, take into account the feature, what we are going to talk about, and generate ideas relevant to that. Right. So if you see this now, it is sort of giving me ideas just based on the webinar and how we can sort of passively also promote the webinar using this different blog post that we did. Right. So these are the 5 different inspiration sources, as you saw, of course, starting from news to events to keywords to references and freestyle. Right. At any point, whenever I'm generating anything, I could literally start my journey at that point, and that is the power you have to capture the moment. It is giving you the power to react to things faster, right? So for example, we just like this, maybe, I want to sort of get started and create a post immediately. All I need to do is just click on that button. Now, of course, the topic is already there. The constant instructions are in there. I can add more instructions to it as I would want the system to do. Or add any specific things that I want system to sort of add into the blog, choose a length, choose the tonality, right? You can also use certain pro instructions like different storytelling techniques, different copywriting techniques into this. For the simplicity's sake, I'm not going to do that. And then at this point, I can have a quick look at the outline or generate the content directly from here. So from a point where we were trying to find an idea to a point where you can execute that idea with an actual content, that journey literally can be taken in less than 5 minutes today. So if you say this, literally took that brief and I didn't add anything apart from what the system had already suggested, right? And it has written that entire blog for me, keeping in mind all the different relevant subtitles or the subheadings that would be useful, right? Now, of course, I'm not going to get to the blog. That's for another webinar, right? But let's go back to the idea generator because there are a couple of interesting things that I would certainly want to sort of highlight before we open the session for questions. Now, while these are the different sources that are available to you, these are, you can generate ideas, but there are also recommendations that are coming my way, right? Recommendations based on whatever I have created last. So, for example, your last post was, how do you sort of uh, make a strawberry smoothie? Now, as you write that article, maybe you have said, use blenders to sort of create the perfect smoothie. The next thing that your audience is looking for is what are the best blenders to use, and those are the ideas that you will see. So we constantly look at the creation journey, what you're creating, and sort of bring back ideas to you saying, here is the next best action or the next best content that you need to create, right? And of course, you can, like I said, you can pin them in the list. Once you pin them out, you can also share that with your team, and you can add your description. Say, for example, you're working, collaborating with people. You can sort of add more descriptions so that while they take the journey to the actual production layer, they can be mindful of that. You can also add more tags so that the system is aware of using those keywords as they generate those ideas. Yeah. Would love for you folks to try it out, give us more feedback, suggestions, how do we sort of make it better. But that's all for now. Abhinav, you want to sort of quickly talk about, how our customers is using it today?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for this very engaging demonstration, JD. Folks, you just saw the demonstration. If you have any questions, just please type it in the Q&A box and we'll get to that. But quickly, as you said, JD, I just wanted to spend a minute uh, to discuss how our users, our customers are currently using the idea generator. So the first thing, idea generator is being used is very obvious. It is being used for all the content marketing needs, right? So uh, brands, even individuals, literally are driving, thought leadership, boosting their SEO scores by finding relevant and very concurrent ideas to create, say, blogs on. The second area where users are really leveraging the idea generator is to really try to understand what the next Instagram post is should be, in the sense not just Instagram post but any social media content calendar. How do they keep that alive? How do they get ideas about what to post next, uh, uh, taking in mind what is happening around them, so they are being very concurrent to the times, and also maintaining their brand identity. And a third and very interesting thing, which was also a revelation to us, was suppose they are having an event, or they are having a launch, or a release, so to say. How do you sort of create a buzz around that, keeping in mind what users are already talking about, what people, their target audience is already talking about? So that uh, became a very powerful, idea generator became a very powerful tool to generate campaigns around specific events. And these are our top three. Of course, I mean, the sky is the limit when it comes to imagination and to do how idea generator can be used. Cool.
Absolutely.
There are a couple of questions that I will sort of read out, and Jidi can stop sharing your
Yep.
screen so that we are on video. So first question, I don't know, uh, comes from somebody, uh, comes from Ranjit, who is asking whether we can generate articles which are data oriented. In a sense, if he's trying to create content about importance, like data of India versus China, for example. Can that be done through Yarnit?
Yep. No, absolutely. That's a very relevant question, Ranjit, and kind of something that we take pride in because although we didn't get to the blog layer and talk enough about the blog, but one of the primary things that we do while we generate or help you generate the first draft of your blog, the what you would where you would find a lot of these blogs and materials coming your way is basically research materials, right? So we bring in access to syndicated data, syndicated statistics, which are relevant to the topic on which you are creating ideas, right? At the same time, while you are drafting anything, you can also use the search for references feature, and maybe we can sort of quickly show you in the next webinar, uh, where you can just select a piece of text and look for search for references, and it will highlight high performing articles or blogs on the internet with which you can sort of backlink, add links to that, hyperlink them, and it will only add to your credibility of the content that you're generating, right? So two
That
things.
gives me a very good segue into introducing our next webinar, which we'll be hosting next week, which is all about blog writing, and which is also very pertinent to how you can use different features of Yarnet to cite something as a reference, use something as a reference, add data, get more sources, and all that. So, Ranjit, I hope you'll join our webinar next week, which is on blog writing. Another question, JD. I know we're already at the top of 30 minutes, but let's take 5 more minutes on this. And so another question is around recommendations. How are, you know, like how is Yarnit using, what all data is Yarnit using to provide these recommendations to the user?
So I'm going to sort of limit that answer to idea generator today, right? So
Yes.
look, isn't there three interesting things that we do? There is an input that we are drawing inspiration from, and that is the inspiration which could be that external data, right? And there are different data feeds that we bring in, whether it is news data, calendar events. There could be data that as a user I'm bringing in, which could be a web page, a PDF, etc. So there is a layer of context we are building through the user input, whether it is provided through Yarnit or added by the user. The second layer of data that we use is basically through different data sources that we use behind the scenes, and we work with different search databases, largely SERP, Google, Bing, YouTube, and in certain cases we also use certain domain-specific data sources, and all of this. From all of these different sources that you see, we try to sort of cull out the relevant information around the topic. What are the questions, what are the keywords that we are working on, and that sort of gets fed into the generative AI layer to sort of come up with the ideas that you saw.
Great, thanks, JD. And then there is another question. I think you addressed it a little bit when you're doing the demonstration. Is
Right.
how can idea generator be used for my brand?
Right.
So, like right now, it was generating ideas for Yarnit
Right.
as a brand. How can it do for their particular brand?
No, absolutely. I think the starting point for anything to do, anything to be done on Yarnet is the brand setup, right? And so we definitely encourage all our users to set up their brand first, so that everything that you do now, right, whether you're generating ideas, generating content, generating design, is in line with your brand and your audience, right? So as you get to the brand setup, please take some time. It probably takes 5 to 6 minutes to give quick answers around your brand personality. So, and you can set up your brands at different layers. Look as a brand. A brand could be the umbrella brand, Yarnit. It could be a feature. It could be a product, right? It could be business units within a large enterprise, or it could be as as an individual brand. And you can use to sort of create these different forms of brands.
Yeah, and that again, maybe next time when we are doing the webinar on blogging, we can spend a few minutes just to show how users can set up their own brand, so that the generation is uh, you know uh, in tune with that.
Yeah.
Another interesting question is, like, can individuals use this? So it's what I understand of the question is that if I am an influencer,
Right.
how can I use the idea generator to for social media posts?
Oh, absolutely. Look, as in this era, personal branding is one of the key things. We love to sort of create our brands because social media is there, and you better be known, taking a stand, taking a topic, evangelizing it, right? And so, as a you can think of yourself as a brand, right? And the topics that you associate with, the things that you are passionate talking about, you can certainly use it. And we know of a lot of our customers who do that. Even within large corporates or enterprises, there are thought leadership that is done on behalf of their CXOs, right? So, it's absolutely in vogue.
Yeah, all right. All right. I think that is all the questions, unless anybody has any more questions. Um, cool. Thank you so much, JD, for taking us through this wonderful feature of our application, which is the idea generator, which I personally use not just for the company Yarnit, but also for my personal content creation. With that in mind, I also would like to extend extreme gratitude to everybody who has joined in for this webinar. uh, we are doing a series of webinars. We'll do one webinar every week. Yarnit is a huge platform with multiple capabilities. It allows you not just to generate ideas, but to create text like a blog that JD showed. Also, your creatives, your social media carousel posts or ads for Facebook. It also allows you to publish it to different social media channels, allows you to measure the performance of your content. So piece by piece, keeping uh, uh, keeping the thought behind why these features exist and what is the importance of these features, followed by a demonstration of these features, is what we intend to cover in upcoming webinars. So please do watch out for that. You will also receive an email from us requesting you to register for those webinars. The recording of this webinar we'll definitely share with you as soon as it is ready. Uh, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and
Thank you,
please do
everybody.
share your feedback, and thanks again for joining us today. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. You have a good day.
thank you so much. Bye
Good day,
bye.
everyone. Take care. Bye.